Why, of course. Why, of course, this is, of course, your main host of the evening. I go by a name of Mr. Uni to the Moto. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Hey. Calm it down. You. Calm it down. Calm it down now. I get I'm this fucking TikTok celebrity, but calm it down right now. Unimoto's on the scene, okay? Oh well, today I'm doing something a little bit different. Okay? Because I have to debunk some shit. And this isn't some fucking shit about myself. This is some shit about one of my favourite bands of all time. One of my favourite swear word. We're not going to swear, we're going to keep it PG. Or more or less PG. One of my favourite fucking bands of all time. The Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones? Who are they? I must have not heard of them. I mean, I've heard of the Beatles, but I've never once heard of Rolling Stones. Who are they? Rolling Stones? You've never heard of the Rolling Stones? You've never heard of Rolling Stones? Then you probably shouldn't be watching this fucking video in the fucking first place. Today in this video, I'm going to be explaining to y'all why the Rolling Stones are punk, or more or less was punk. They can be are, they can be were, but let's get to it. All those years ago, on the 9th of June 1978, the Rolling Stones released the album Some Girls. Some Girls. I will say, for me, this is very much the album of the 70s that outpunked the punks. This album was released at the height of punk rock, the pure punk rock. Like, not necessarily the pure punk rock, but what made punk go on further, okay? So this album was released at the height of the Sex Pistols, the Clash, all these 1970s punk groups, so on, late 1970s punk groups. And then the Rolling Stones, that same band in the 1960s that released Jumping Jack Flash, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. They come out with an album in the latest 1970s, a punk album. Surely not from the Rolling Stones. Well, yeah, I will say this: the Rolling Stones were punk. The Rolling Stones went punk, and the Rolling Stones were punk. The Rolling Stones were capable of doing so in the height of the punk as well. The thing is, the difference is with this. So I've got this, this is the vinyl release, the 1978 vinyl release. If I remove the inner record sleeve, you can see the album cover here. If I remove the inner record sleeve, oh no, they are all faceless. How are they all faceless? How did that happen? Obviously because I removed the record sleeve. Whereas, ladies and gentlemen, the CD on the other hand, here we have a CD copy, okay? So I can't really do the same thing I just did. I can't really do that, you know what I mean? I can't really do what I just did. Okay, let's try and remove the CD booklet. Let's try and remove the CD booklet. What happens there? The faces are still not removed. The faces have not been removed. What's that about? The faces have not been removed. And what I have just shown right there is a perfect example to prove that vinyl is better than CD. JK. I mean, then again, maybe not, because vinyl is a lot more expensive, especially nowadays, and a lot bigger, takes up a lot more storage space, and you have to turn it over halfway through, which is not that much of a bigger deal, but you know. Anyway, there was so much yap about the different formats, the difference between vinyl and CD. How dare I do that? How dare I compare vinyl and CD? It's not even comparable at the end of the day, is it? Here is the vinyl record, and here is the CD. Here is the vinyl and the CD in one. Take your pick. You can obviously tell that I must really like this album if I have it both on CD and vinyl. So, okay, we are going to break down the album from start to finish, okay? The album opens with the track Miss You, which sounds like a typical disco track, a very nice, typical disco track. And then we go into When the Whip Comes Down, which also sounds somewhat getting into the punk, but we're not quite there yet. It then goes Imagination, just my imagination running away with me, which is getting somewhat there. And then we got the controversial track, the most controversial track on the album, which caused this album to have controversy. Some Girls. Yes, Some Girls. Obviously, in this track, Mick Jagger expresses different nationalities of women, different women from other countries, different women of skin colours. Do you know what I mean? And this caused the album to gain controversy at the time, thinking, Mick Jagger, what are you doing? Why are you saying that, Mick Jagger? You are Mick Jagger. You are Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones. Why are you saying that? This is an album that got accused of being racist, sexist at the same time. And you would not expect that from Rolling Stones. Like the Rolling Stones, you would not expect that from Rolling Stones. But the Rolling Stones, they're not just the Rolling Stones. They did other things. Do you understand what I mean? A lot of people might look at the Rolling Stones like thinking, oh yeah, it's that black and white band in the 60s that did Jumping Jack Flash, Paint It Black. The Rolling Stones, they're still going today. I mean, just last year we had this album Hackney Diamonds by the Rolling Stones. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, the Rolling Stones are still going. They're still active as to this day. Mick Jagger is still alive, plus the rest of the members, apart from Charlie Watts. This is why I say that this is the album. That is one reason why I will say that this album is the album that outpunked the punks in the late 70s. Further I go on. After that, we have a track called Lies, which is quite a going on track, quite a gritty going on track for the Rolling Stones. Similar to the When the Whip Comes Down in Imagination. But then we also have Faraway Eyes, which is a song where Mick Jagger is clearly mocking American country music. On this track, Mick Jagger is clearly mocking American country music. You know what I mean? With the accent and everything, and the lyrics, just pure mocking American country music or country western. Then we have the track Respectable, which for me sounds very punk because they have lyrics about the White House and the President of the United States and the White House lawn, which is, for me, it gives the impression that it's very forward and very punk, of course, at the time in the late 1970s. And then all of a sudden, Jump Scare. Halfway through side 2, all of a sudden, Jump Scare, we have the Before They Make Me Run, which, why do I say it's a jump scare? Because we have Keith Richards on lead vocals. When does that ever happen? Keith Richards on lead vocals on a Rolling Stones album. And that is what we got. And I'm like, whoo! Right, the next thing I'm going to say might be very controversial. Beast of Burden. The track Beast of Burden, I just feel like Beast of Burden is just a pure filler track. I've never been too fond of that song. I've heard it live, not in person. I've heard it live. I've never seen the Rolling Stones live. I fucking wish I did. But I've heard it live, like on live albums many times. I know it's like meant to be one of their hits or something. But me personally, I feel like Beast of Burden is just like a bit dead, a bit of a filler track. Do you know what I mean? A bit like, nah. I was never too keen on it the first time I heard it, and even the second time I heard it. And last up, we have the last track on the album, Shattered, which I also do somewhat have the same opinion and feeling about that as to the track I just said before, Beast of Burden. Like, I just feel like it's a bit of a filler track. It's a bit repetitive, a bit meaningless, a bit goes on and on and on. So therefore, that concludes our album review on Some Girls by Rolling Stones. And this is, for me, a very historical album because I feel like, it's like I said, this is the album that outpunked the punks by the fucking Rolling Stones. Imagine being outpunked by the Rolling Stones, though. Imagine being outpunked by Rolling Stones. Imagine being a punk group starting in the late 1970s in the UK and getting outpunked by the fucking Rolling fucking Stones. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But the Rolling Stones were punk or have been punk, allow it.